Hello everyone, we are Federico, Santiago, Gamarra, Mojoli, and Moreno, Tillería, and we're going to be talking about pre-service teachers' perspectives and attitudes towards inclusive education at a private EFL language institute in Asuncion, Paraguay.
As an introduction, we would like to define inclusive education as students with specific needs for educational support working alongside non-SSMES in the regular classroom.
Statement of the problem. In order to overcome the issue or the effectiveness of teacher preparation in order to work with inclusive classes, a law was created. The law number 5136 part 2013 on inclusive education states that every person has a right to integral and permanent education. Also, the law number 3540 part 2008 states that states parties recognize the right of people with disability without any discrimination based on equality of opportunities. And in order to fully implement these laws, the role of the teacher is vital for the success of inclusive education, considering SSE and ES or student-specific needs for educational support.
The purpose of the study was to determine the degree of pedagogical preparation received by pre-service teachers for attention to diversity in a private English institute, to examine whether the training in the educational institution contemplates inclusion, and to identify if the training received by the pre-service teachers in the institute responded to the needs and diversity in practice.
Research questions. What are pre-service teachers' attitudes and perception towards inclusive education? What are teachers' perceived knowledge towards inclusive education? What is the degree of pedagogical preparation received by the pre-service teachers for attention to diversity in an private English institute in a city in Paraguay?
The significance of the study is reflected in the teachers' perspectives towards inclusive education are highly important for it to be properly implemented. Moreover, no similar study has been performed in Paraguay as of yet.
Methods. This is a non-experimental method study, which what is to obtain information regarding a current phenomena to describe what exists with respect to variables or conditions in a situation.
The instrument consisted of a teacher's survey comprised of 42 Likert-type questions divided into 5 subdomains, which were student variable, administrative support, peer support, collaboration, and training. They were enriched by 3 open-ended questions.
Settings and participants. This research project was conducted in an anonymous private English institute in Asuncion, Paraguay, and the participants were merely pre-service teachers from Program 1 and Program 2 who were willing to participate.
The sample consisted of 42 out of 45 pre-service teachers who volunteered to participate, as mentioned before, and the selection criteria aimed to be as random and unbiased as possible.
Results. These 3 pie charts shows the participants' demographic information. In the gender pie chart shows that 47.47% of participants was male and 52.53% of participants was female.
Next, we have the education pie chart. And for the purpose of this study, undergraduate refers to participants who have finished school, yet they have not attained a degree. And we can see that the majority of participants made up this section with 52.38%. Next, we have graduate with 42.86% of participants, followed by the master's degree with 2.38% of participants, and lastly, 2.38% of participants once more held a doctorate degree.
The age pie chart shows that 47.62% of participants was between the ages of 25 and 35. 35.71% of participants was below the age of 25. 11.90% of participants was between the ages of 36 and 45. 2.38% of participants was between the ages of 46 and 55. And last but not least, 2.38% of participants was beyond the age of 55.
Next, we have the level teaching pie chart on the left. We can see that the majority of participants taught adult level courses with 51.22%, followed by junior level courses with 48.78%. And lastly, we have the inclusive training pie chart. And we can see that the majority of participants, 71.43%, stated not having received appropriate inclusive training. And in contrast, 28.57% did receive this training.
Part B, students' variable. This bar chart shows the participants' attitudes and perception towards inclusive education regarding teaching students with specific need for educational support in special education classroom rather than a regular classroom. We can see that 8% of participants strongly disagreed with the idea, 42% of participants disagreed. On the other hand, 38% of participants agree with the idea that students with specific need for educational support should be taught in special education classroom rather than a regular classroom, and the remaining 12% of participants strongly agreed.
The peer support pie chart gather participants' perceptions towards their peer support when it comes to teaching SSNDS. We can see that the vast majority of participants, 50%, stated to agree with the idea of receiving proper peer support, followed by 21% strongly agreeing. In contrast, 25% of participants disagree with the idea of receiving proper peer support, and 4% strongly disagree.
Administrative support. This bar chart shows the participants' support received by their administrators, and we can see that 4% of participants strongly disagreed, having received the support or necessary support from their administrators. 21% of participants disagreed. On the other hand, 52% of participants agreed, having received the support from their administrators, and only 23% of participants strongly agreed.
Collaborations of the way. Gather participants' perceptions towards collaborative work when it comes to teaching SSNES, which could take the form of a teacher aide or a secondary teacher. And we can see that the vast majority of participants, 50%, agree with the idea of collaboration, and 25% strongly agree. In contrast, 21% of participants disagree with the idea of collaboration, and 4% strongly disagree.
Training. This bar chart shows the training received from the participants, and they were provided by the administrators. 4% of participants disagreed, having received the necessary training. 24% of participants disagreed. 48% of participants agreed, having received the necessary training provided by the administrators, and only 24% of participants strongly agreed.
We move on to part C. The first open-ended question gather participants' perceptions towards their understanding of the meaning of inclusive education. We can see that the staggering majority of participants, 88.20%, provided an accurate definition of inclusive education, stated that it refers to a classroom that welcomes all students, normal and SSNES, working together. Next, we have 9.50% of participants stated that inclusive education means helping SSNES, yet they did not mention that they're working together with normal students. And lastly, 30% of participants stated to not know its meaning.
This session refers to the feeling that the participants had towards inclusive education. And we can see that 95.20% of participants had a positive feeling towards inclusive education, and 4.80% of participants had negative feelings towards inclusive education.
Lastly, concerning their preparedness, we can see that the vast majority of participants, 92.80%, stated to feel unprepared due to a lack of training and knowledge to deal with SSNDS, and 7.20% of participants, the vast minority, stated to feel prepared due to their past experiences and constant research. In conclusion, we can see that the vast majority, 95.2% of participants, stated to feel positive when it comes to teaching inclusive education, followed by
the 88.2% of participants had a fair understanding of inclusive education.
And lastly, 98.2% of participants stated to feel prepared in order to teach this classes. They felt unprepared.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.